Hi, Daniel. Thank you for joining me. Can you introduce yourself to the Informs membership?
Hi, Karen. So my name is Daniel Kuhn. I'm a professor of operations research at the Ecole Polytechnique Federale de Lausanne, and there I hold the chair of risk analytics and optimization.
How long have you been an Informs member?
I do not exactly remember, but I believe since about 2012.
Okay, so almost 10 years. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this field?
So my field is operations research, but my first degree was actually in theoretical physics, which I enjoyed a lot because it taught me both rigorous mathematics, but also it also taught me to recognize situations when mathematical rigor would actually hinder progress. And then after graduation, I wanted to work in an area in which I could use the concepts I had learned. However, in theoretical physics, it may take a very long time before a research result has a practical impact. Mm-hmm. And I found that somewhat unsatisfactory. So then I found a PhD position in the area of optimization under uncertainty. And this fascinated me from the beginning due to the very broad spectrum of applications. So virtually any problem in science, engineering, or economics can be cast as an optimization problem. And because virtually every optimization problem involves some parameters that are unknown at the time when the problem is formulated and solved. And what I also liked about my PhD position was that there was a strong focus on industry projects. So my contract actually stated that I should spend 70% of my time to work on real practical applications of optimization in the energy industry. And this involved giving talks on stochastic optimization at energy companies to develop practically useful mathematical models as well as software and to directly interact with the end users. And I found this extremely appealing and rewarding that my work would be immediately applied in practice.
That's great. So you mentioned you started in theoretical physics. Is there anything else about how you got into this field that might surprise us? Or anything about your career that's...
I mean, the optimization is very interdisciplinary, and sort of you can see that I started in theoretical physics, but my PhD is then actually in economics. Mm-hmm. Then I did a postdoc, and that was in engineering. My first faculty position was in computer science, and I'm now in a business school. So this sounds as if I'm changing fields each time I change position, right. But it's actually not true, right? It's actually really the field that is so interdisciplinary and that's just used in all of these domains.
Great. So I think your main research interests focus on data-driven optimization. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you talk about your application-driven research? I know you mentioned that as part of your job, you need to, 70% is you have to be applied, right? So
applications, they lead to good theory in the end as well. So I think many of the theoretical papers that I wrote, they originated from some practical problems. And yeah, during my PhD, I developed models for the optimal medium and short-term operations of hydrothermal power systems and also for the pricing of electricity swing options. So these are some electricity delivery contracts that have some flexibility in the timing and in the volume of the energy consumption. And these projects, they motivated a number of theoretical papers on complexity reduction in stochastic optimization, so like on state aggregation or on scenario reduction. Another example was that I at some point worked on the optimal design of computer chips, and this inspired me and my colleagues to develop methods for robust optimization with decision-dependent uncertainty sets. Also, more recently, we're studying how electric vehicles can be used to stabilize the electricity grid, and this led to a new theory of robust optimization with infinite dimensional uncertain parameters. Actually, I work a lot on distribution robust optimization, and also my first papers in this topic, they were inspired by problems from finance. So I studied with a PhD student at the time portfolio selection and portfolio insurance problems with stock options, and this motivated my work on distribution robust chance constraints, which are very widely applicable beyond finance. So, but on the other hand, actually, the cross-fertilization goes both ways. And for example, relating to this work on finance, we were very happy to see that once we published one of our papers that a New York-based financial analytics company actually had adopted our models. So this was very pleasant surprise.
Yeah. You mentioned the electric vehicles. Is that your current project, or are you working on anything else right now?
So this is one current project. The overarching theme of my current research is distribution robust optimization. So that's optimization under uncertainty when the probability distribution of the uncertain parameters is itself not known. And so with several colleagues and students, I'm at the moment trying to develop statistical foundations of data-driven decision-making. And something we're very excited about is that we discovered that distribution robust optimization models, certain types at least, make in some sense, in some precise sense, the best possible use of the available data. And this is something we also try to extend to control problems at the moment. We're also using distribution robust optimization to improve machine learning algorithms. So for example, in machine learning, algorithms are often used, or increasingly used for, to support human decision-making. And for example, this may impact people's lives. So these algorithms may determine who receives a job, who receives a loan, or who receives medical treatment. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that algorithms may actually amplify biases if they're trained on biased data sets. And yeah, this technique of distribution robust optimization, if we can build some models, distribution robust optimization models with unfairness penalties, can help mitigate these biases. That's something I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Do you have what's the best advice that you could give to students in your field?
I'm not sure whether I can give an advice that applies specifically to my field, but general advice is you should always work on problems that are passionate about, and then it actually will also do good work. So the most important thing is to figure out what you're actually passionate about. Of course, I personally try to motivate my students for the topics I feel passionate about myself.
Right.
Yeah,
that's good advice for any field. You also are a Lancaster Prize winner. Congratulations. Can you talk about this experience and how the award has impacted your career in any way?
Thank you very much. Yeah. So as you can imagine, my co-author, Payman Mohajer-Nesfahani, and I, we were absolutely thrilled when we learned that we won the Lancaster Prize. And we were also at the same time humbled by looking at the list of the previous recipients, and many of whom are actually our personal heroes. Oh. So we have received many positive reactions from friends and colleagues. So that's one thing. And another thing that recently happened is that Mosaic, so the optimization software company, they have dedicated a Jupyter notebook to our paper. And this notebook actually reproduces the numerical results of the paper using their Fusion API for Python. So we hope that this will enable more researchers and students to actually use and extend our techniques and potentially to new domains.
Great. You also serve on several editorial boards, I believe, including Operations Research and Management Science, which are two of Inform's flagship journals. Which Inform's journal do you find the most useful to your research? Which one do you read the most?
So in my field, operations research, management science, and mathematics of operations research, they're all highly relevant. Among those, probably OR publishes the largest number of papers that are directly useful for my research.
Great. What interests do you have outside of your research that might surprise a colleague?
I don't know how surprising it is. So I greatly enjoy the outdoors, and I spend a lot of time in the mountains, hiking or skiing. I'm Swiss, so that's maybe it's not so surprising. Hiking is in some sense actually also reminiscent of optimization, because you just try to find the local maximum in the landscape.
Wow. If you weren't a professor, what would your ideal career be? Like, is there something you wanted to be when you were growing up that you would?
I didn't want to be a professor when I was a kid. Yeah. So but I think if I wasn't a professor, I would probably not have a desk job, I think. Mm-hmm. So I would like to do something I like to do work that creates something tangible. As a kid, I wanted to be a carpenter, and I still think that actually would be a very attractive job for me. I actually take pride in having designed the kitchen in our apartment, but I must admit that I didn't build it, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's your idea of comfort food?
Here also, as a Swiss, it's very clear that this needs to be a delicious cheese fondue. Maybe accompanied by some wine from the Lake Geneva vineyards. it's also very, very easy to prepare. So even I can do it. So.
Great. Sounds great. All right, here's a strange one. Name 3 uses of a stapler that has no staples in it. What can you do?
So this must be some informs interview question. Well, okay. So for once, I'm a bit addicted to nuts, so I guess it could be used as a nut cracker. And also, a stapler is essentially just a hinge. So I would maybe use it in class to explain students what the hinge loss function looks like in support vector machines.
Yeah, very creative. So I know this past year has been very interesting and strange for everyone. Can you talk a little bit about how the pandemic has affected your work in any way, if it has?
Had to work from home and teach from home like everyone else. The teaching was more difficult, so I personally like to get immediate visual feedback from the students. I think I teach much better if I see how they react. I see if they understand what I say or not, and this is completely missing at the moment.
Yeah.
And in terms of research, there are some benefits. I'm at home, and if I have to write a paper, then I can just lock myself into the room. Nobody's coming by chatting with me, and I can just write the paper. But on the other hand, the personal interaction, I find it extremely important. Mm-hmm. I see my students usually every day and talk to them, and I think it's very important. These informal discussions, they lead to good ideas for new projects. And yeah, this is something that I'm really missing.
Is there anything about 2020 that you hope remains in the future? Anything positive that's come out of the past year?
The one thing that comes immediately to mind is the nice clear blue skies without condensation trails.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But no one ever mentions that one. Everyone always says the virtual connection with friends and family and things. So that's a good one. I like that. Well, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.